We are fortunate to honor two outstanding business leaders and two people that throughout their careers have made an impact in their communities in Jan Hewlett and Sarah Opperman. As you will hear tonight in the next few minutes, Sarah and Jan's paths crossed early in their careers at Dow, where they achieved quite a bit as professionals working together with others. They became trusted colleagues and lifelong members of each other's personal board of directors. And I believe Sue, is Sue here tonight? But Sue is also part of the dynamic trio, and you'll see a little bit more from her in a minute. So let's begin by honoring Jan Hewlett. I was reminiscing with Mark Van Fossen, one of her closest colleagues at Azimuth Capital, about how I was fortunate enough after my first summer here. We were 3 or 4 months into the pandemic, and I was able to visit Jan and meet her for the first time at Azimuth Capital. We were very safe and wearing our masks. I can't believe that was 5 years ago. And we were joined by Mark and a couple of interns, one of them who was CMU graduate Eric Scott, who had just that previous semester won with one of his classmates an international competition. I think, Brad, there were like 88 schools and including 6 of the Ivies or something like that. It was truly impressive that our two CMU students, what's that? Yeah, 200 schools, 100,000 students, and only 80 made it to the finals, and they won. And you should have seen the list of people. So that's a testament to Brad and the other finance faculty to help coach them and prepare them. I remember during that meeting how gracious that Mark and Jan were with their time in the height of the pandemic, and how invested and sincere their support, especially Jan was of the interns that were there. I was recently able to have a lunch with Jan within the last 6 months, and we had a time for Jan to go into detail and tell me about her amazing personal and professional journey. I really appreciated all the things that she shared, and that included her time at Dow with Sarah and other colleagues. As I mentioned before, I think Jan also exemplifies what I believe is one of the most important, CMU's important values, which is leading in communities. As you can see in the program, she has served in key roles for the Village Club Foundation, the Village Club in the Detroit area, and as a previous member of the CMU's Advancement Board, and currently leading Sarah's leading our Advancement Board, but you previously served in our Advancement Board. And right at a time when she was preparing to slow down a little bit, are you actually slowing down? A little bit, okay. She graciously agreed to serve on the advisory board for the 3 student-managed portfolios that have been mentioned that some of our students are part of. So let's learn a little bit more about Jan from the people that know her best.
Because Jan and I met while we were both at the Dow Chemical Company, I have been fortunate to have had her as a lifelong friend. Jan navigated a unique 22-year career at Dow, starting as a mathematician in its legendary physics lab, and then applying her analytical skills to supply chain logistics. I first met Jan in corporate finance, where she had become a portfolio manager for the company's investments.
So Jan and I worked at Dow in the finance department, and that's how we met. And during that time, I got to see her in those early days and characteristics that I've seen throughout the years. One of those was her, 1, she's brilliant, but 2, the strength of who she was and her confidence in her data and in her abilities. And that really shone through because she was a counselor, even in those early years, to the chief financial officer that many people never knew.
I've had the pleasure of working with Jan in some capacity within the investment management industry for nearly 40 years. And from a career standpoint, I'm sure that her crowning achievement is the co-founding of Azimuth Capital in 2004 and her unique contribution to the firm's incredible growth and success over the past 20 years.
She's a CFA, which Forbes says is like the rock star of finance people. Brilliant woman. But what she brings with that quantitative expertise, what sets her apart is that qualitative piece, whether it's looking at stocks, at companies, or at people. She understands how to blend that quantitative analysis with that qualitative expertise.
Not only was Jan a brilliant business partner with unparalleled investment management skills, she was also a constant source of inspiration. teaching our entire team the importance of staying grounded and compassionate in all that we do.
Your partnership and mentorship in our most challenging of professions has been vital to me. You have made me a better investor and client advocate.
I think my favorite Jan trait would be just your desire and your drive and the ability to make time for people when you really had none because you were so busy.
You plotted an amazing course in life, and you have achieved much success, which is why you are so worthy of this recognition. But for those of us who know you, we know the most important thing for you is the satisfaction you get from all that you've done for others.
So Jan, congratulations on this wonderful recognition, and thank you for your unwavering friendship and commitment to excellence.
Congratulations on the Hall of Fame, and I wish you the best in the next chapter of your life.
Congratulations again.
Jan, congratulations. All the best in your new adventures. I close with Jan's trademark message to those of us who are lucky to know her. Hugs. Hugs to you, my dear friend.
Congratulations and fire up.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you to CMU, the School of Business, and to you, Dean Moberg, and President McKinnon, and everybody else who's here tonight, and Sarah, and Mark, my partner Ted, and Sue, who isn't here. That's pretty special. So my speech tonight is pretty short. It was just going to be thank you. In particular, I wanted to say thank you to Kirk, my husband. I can't do this. I need to be better. Okay. For letting me, go where I needed to go and have my career and do the things I like to do. At a very early age, I had the opportunity to join an the investment group at Dow Chemical. And I was a math nerd. I got my MBA at night school, so I'm very grateful to all the professors who drove over to Midland and helped me get that degree while I was working full time. It was a great MBA, by the way, because it was all of us working professionals who, were working during the day but had real problems to solve and had to get through the program and really were interested in learning. And so I found investing partly because of my love of learning and my natural inclination to understand people, and I found that gave me a huge edge when it came to investing because, we had the founder funding this afternoon, I heard. I didn't get to hear that, but, who starts companies? People. Who founds company? People. And if you can figure out a company's business model and their culture and what makes them tick, it gives you an edge. And I didn't know I had that. But that's really what I've been able to do the last 35 plus years, and have been able to do it both at Dow and then, as Ted and Dad said, and Mark and Ben on the video there, have been able to do it at Azimuth. So I got also the opportunity to work at a huge firm. Probably could not have started Azimuth Capital without all the help I had at Dow and what I learned. I truly learned from masters. Started at a young age in my early 20s and stayed there for some 20 years. And then we founded Azimuth in 2004, and it's a good 20 years strong and it's continued to flourish. So that was, Ted's right, that was probably like the highlight of my career. I also have to thank my daughters for all their love and support, and all the family here who's cheering me on, Tanya and Mike and Chris and my sister-in-law Tammy. We've got a lot of chips sitting there at that table. And then Mark and Tricia Van Fossen for being here tonight as part of Azimuth, another chip at the table. And if you'll allow me, we have a lot of ties in our family to CMU. And this is the part where I thought I'd have problems, but So we'll see. I wanted just to talk about a few people who aren't here, who are really important in my life. One's my father, John Novosad. He was a longtime professor here, used to be a rocket scientist, and then came back, literally a rocket scientist, and then decided to be a professor, moved his family here, changed my life as a 10th grader. Because I did not want to move, but we moved to Mount Pleasant, and he was chair, both professor and chair of the IET department. My father-in-law, Rex Hewlett, was a professor and a chair, longtime professor of the music department. My mother-in-law, Arlene Hewlett, CMU graduate in 1930s. We found something when you go through your paperwork, you never know, you think you know your parents, but found out that she did it on a full ride scholarship here. So just incredible. She ended up with a teaching degree. And then my brother-in-law, Steve Holder, also a professor and chair of the English department. So I will close with, if this award, wasn't amazing enough, and it is, I get to share the stage with the CMU icon and one of my best friends, Sarah Opperman. So thank you. I am more than humbled. I'm more than grateful. And I appreciate you hearing me out here and honoring me tonight. So thank you.